Hello children, I welcome you to the second and the last session of the chapter, the Delhi Sultanate. So far we discussed about the Tughlaq dynasty. Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq laid the foundation of the Tughlaq dynasty and probably he was murdered by his own son, Jana Khan. But then there is no clear evidence about the same. Into power, and then he took the title of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Now, Muhammad bin Tughlaq is known as half mad in the Indian history. Why is it so? Because of his decisions. First of all, he questioned the ulemas, the Muslim scholars. He appointed people who did not belong to the noble family. So these were the good decisions taken by him. However, his other decisions were disastrous. First, he shifted his capital from Delhi, the center, to Devagiri, that is in Maharashtra, which he renamed Daulatabad. And he forced the people to shift during scorching summer. One third of the population died on the way. Then he realized his blunder and again forced the people to shift from Daulatabad to Delhi. It led to huge loss of treasury. Why did he shift from Delhi to Daulatabad? Probably because he was threatened by the Mongols. But then he soon realized his mistake and then he shifted back. Then, second mistake, he introduced taxation. He increased taxation in the Doab region. Doab means Ganga Yamuna region. Doab means two rivers. So in the Ganga Yamuna region, when there was famine there, actually due to the shifting of capital, there was a lot of financial crisis. So he decided to increase the revenue by imposing more taxes. He imposed the taxes when there was famine. The farmers were already struggling, and of course they could not pay such high revenues. Many peasants abandoned their land and many revolted against Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Then the last blunder made by him was introduction of token currency. Yes, he introduced token currency, that is copper and bronze coins, and they had the same value as the silver coins. Now, in case of silver coins, their intrinsic value, means their metallic value, was much more than their face value. That means, say, a coin of rupees 10 has a metallic value of rupees 100. So the people started hoarding the silver coins. They started melting those coins, and plus the copper and the bronze coins could easily be exchanged for silver coins. So they went to the king, they gave the copper coin, and in return they got the silver coins which they melted, right? And besides that, the copper and bronze coins had such easy designs that the craftsperson could easily copy it. So there were so many fake coins which were circulated in the market. So people started minting the coins in the home itself. After 3 years, he realized his mistake, and then he withdrew the coins and he promised to exchange the silver coins for the bronze coins. See, again, after 3 years, he was giving silver coins in return of the bronze coins. So, of course, he's rightly known as half mad. And then he was succeeded by his own cousin Firoz Shah Tughlaq, who learned from his brother's mistakes and he kept ulemas very happy. He removed the tax on Muslims and he introduced jizya on non-Muslims. Then he pleased the nobles by giving them iktas. We will discuss about iktas in detail. He also made military positions hereditary. That means if the father retired, then the military position would be received by his son. So this was not justified. However, he was a peace lover. He did not believe in battles. Rather, during his reign, canals, wells, tanks, rest houses, hospitals were constructed. He founded new towns such as Firozpur and Firozabad, and yes, Hisar Firoza also. And he laid various gardens. Many works were translated from Sanskrit to Persian language. Then he also set up Firoz Shah Kotla Stadium, which is the pride of India. The two Ashokan pillars were brought from Meerut and Sopara to Delhi, and one of the pillars was installed in his palace at Firoz Shah Kotla. Then, after his death, there were various murders. Everybody wanted to capture the throne. Taimur was a Mongol. He was the ruler of Samarkand in Central Asia. He raided India a number of times, and there was a lot of chaos. Then, if I discuss about the important aspects of the Tughlaqs, then there was Sijda and Paibos, which was introduced by Ghiyasuddin Balban. Yes, and then I just said a term, Ikta system. Let's see what it is. Nobles Nobles were assigned different places. Now they had the right to collect revenue from those places, and they had military commanders, and the nobles maintained army, and this army uh, was used by the king whenever he needed soldiers to fight a battle. The nobles collected revenue from the place which was allotted to them as ikta by the king. Of course, the king was at loss because he blocked his source of revenue by allowing the nobles to collect revenue from a particular region, and in return, the nobles gave him soldiers. The nobles maintained army. Iqtadars were very few in the slave dynasty and the Khilji dynasty, but in case of Tughlaqs, the number of Iqtadars increased. As a result, it weakened the Tughlaq dynasty because the source of revenue was blocked, and Iqtadars became very powerful also, and they also wanted to become ruler, and Iqtadari system was hereditary in nature. Then if I talk of Sayyid dynasty came after the Tughlaq dynasty. Khizr Khan was the first Sayyid ruler. He was appointed by Taimur only. Now, there were four Sayyids. First was Khizr Khan Sayyid, who was appointed by Taimur, and Khizr Khan was appointed as the governor of Multan, Lahore, and Dipalpur by Taimur. Later, Khizr Khan conquered Delhi and established Sayyid dynasty. Then after Khizr Khan came Mubarak Shah Sayyid. He was a man of great taste, and he wanted to excel in architecture, literature, art, music, but then he had to control the nobles who were very, very powerful. Then, after Mubarak Shah Sayyid came Muhammad Shah Sayyid. Then he also faced a lot of threat from the nobles. The nobles became very powerful. Then came Alam Shah Sayyid, Alauddin Alam Shah Sayyid. He was defeated by, see, first it was Khizr Khan, then Mubarak Shah Sayyid, then Muhammad Shah Sayyid, then Alam Shah Sayyid. Alam Shah Sayyid was defeated by Lodi. Then started the Lodi dynasty. Now he removed governors. He realized that his nobles and governors had to be removed. Then he had uh, a son, Sikandar Lodi, who was the most powerful Lodi ruler. He ruled over Jaunpur, Bihar. He had friendly relations with Bengal. He also provided loans to the farmers at low rate of interest, and he founded Agra, which he made as his capital. He was also an accomplished poet. He wrote various Persian poems under the pen name Gul Rukhi. And then came Ibrahim Lodi. Ibrahim Lodi was raw. The governors and the nobles became very powerful. Then Ibrahim Lodi trusted his uncle and gave him the possession of Punjab. Then uncle was very wicked and cunning, and he invited Babur to fight against Ibrahim Lodi. He thought that Babur would help uncle to become the ruler. Rather, Babur defeated Ibrahim Lodi in the first battle of Panipat, and it led to the end of the Delhi Sultanate. That means Ibrahim Lodi was the last ruler of Delhi Sultanate who was defeated by Babur in the Battle of Panipat, first Battle of Panipat, and Delhi Sultanate came to an end, and it marked the beginning of the Mughal dynasty. Thank you and have a great day ahead.